Alright, I thought this was a joke. I saw the headline, the notification pop up on my phone, and I thought it was a fucking joke. Um, that um, Alex Rodriguez and another guy are buying the Timberwolves. Um, Now it's not official yet. Um, the ink ain't dry on any contracts or anything like that, but it sounds like it's going to happen. The Timberwolves are gone. The Timberwolves will not be in Minnesota long term. Um, you know, Immediately, like when I saw this, I went to like social media and was reading lots of people talking about it, freaking out. The diehard Wolves fans. I don't know how the hell there are still diehard Wolves fans, but they were just freaking out about the team moving, and they're right to be because they're gone. And then there's the other people saying, "Oh no, come on, this is just you're just being paranoid." No, this isn't. Do you think? Like now the other guy, this Mark Lore, he's like a Walmart guy or something. So he's just like a normal businessman. But like, do you think Alex Rodriguez gives a shit about owning a pro sports franchise in Minnesota? There's no fucking chance that he is involved in this with any sort of plan to like become an owner of a team in Minnesota. This team is gone, and and then people are like, well, but there's going to be stuff in the contract when it's signed that stipulates that they have to stay in Minnesota, or they have to commit to staying in Minnesota. Come on, contracts are made to be broken, especially in something like sports. Believe me, every single pro sports franchise that has relocated in the last ever has had some sort of contract with the city that they moved from, or they've had some sort of lease, in the whatever building. Like that means nothing. It's just something that will be worked around when the time comes. Now the this thing is when the sale is made, it's going to be a couple years before these guys are officially um, the owners. So it'll still be Glenn Taylor for a couple years because he's going to be. It's sort of like a thing where like they're going to kind of show him the ropes of like how to be a sports owner, which is kind of weird. I've never heard of that happening before. Maybe that's a common thing. I don't know, but I mean, obviously, not everybody who owns a pro sports franchise knows how to run a pro sports franchise. But so yeah, it'll be a couple years um, before A Rod and this other guy take over. But the clock will be ticking already. Like there'll be, it's not paranoia. This will be a constant thing for the next 2 years and beyond. Now I don't. Now this doesn't necessarily mean like the second that um, that these guys own the team, they're gonna move it. But their plan is absolutely to move it. If you think Alex Rodriguez is gonna be like, do you think he's gonna like be hanging out in Minnesota? You know, going to you know sitting courtside at Target Center. Like, there's no fucking chance this is gonna happen. Now, the two places that are talked about the most and have been talked about as markets for the NBA are Seattle and Vegas. Um, Obviously, there's a connection in Seattle because Alex Rodriguez played for the Mariners for a bunch of years. You know, and then Vegas is Vegas. I mean, every one of the major sports leagues is going to have a team in Vegas eventually. You know, NFL's there now. Um, NHL's there now. Baseball will be in Vegas at some point. You can guarantee that. So, you know, it's just natural that they're going to end up with an NBA team in Vegas. Um, so, and obviously, and in both cases, for sure, as far as Vegas goes, the NBA is much more interested in that market. You know, and I did a video about this a while back. The NBA doesn't give a shit about the Minnesota market. They don't. It's just like a minor league market to them. You know, it's hey, it's I forget what the ranking is. Like it's like a top 15 market in the United States, but it's like, you know, they like having the, you know, an extra market to, sell tickets for games and sell merchandise and have TV revenue and all these things. You know. But as far as like having a team in Minnesota actually like be a title contender, that's not something they are have any interest in. Um, but they obviously they have no loyalty towards keeping a team in Minnesota. They don't give a shit. I mean, and they absolutely would move a team out of here. Now they might then put an expansion team here. Um, but I mean, you know, it's cynical business, but it's business for these leagues. They always want to have a market or two that wants a team, because then they can use that to leverage. Like for years in the NFL, it was LA. Hey, you do what we want you to do, or we're moving your team to LA. Well, now it's basically you do what we want, or we'll move your team to Seattle or Vegas maybe. And if the Timberwolves move, then they can be like, you do what we want, or we're going to move your team to Minnesota. Um, it's all very cynical shit, but it's like, basically, getting back to the original point, the Timberwolves are gone. The Timberwolves are gone. They are a lame duck franchise the second this contract is officially signed and the sale is official. Um, the only thing that could maybe save them, I mean, and again, I don't know how there are Timberwolves diehards still to this day. Like, I haven't even looked at their record recently. They got like 15 wins or something. Like, it's just another horrible season, even with all these young players and stuff. They're just awful all the time. It's just it's always hopeless. There's been talk again recently about Karl-Anthony Towns being traded. Like, it's just a hopeless case in this town for this team. Um, but as I said, the only thing that could maybe save them, say the Timberwolves of Minnesota, is if the NBA decides that they can simply make more money by expanding into Seattle and Vegas, or any of these other markets for that matter, than they can by having a relocation. And that might be the case. I mean, I don't know. Apparently the fucking Timberwolves are worth $1.5 billion. I don't know how they, like they draw no fans. They've had no success, and somehow they're worth $1.5 billion. That's amazing to me. But so that would be the one thing that could save them, or save having the team here, is if the NBA simply just crunches the numbers and decides, hey, we want the expansion money from those other cities. And that could be the case. Like that's like the one thing. If you want the Timberwolves to stay in this town, that's the one thing you got to hope for. But again, I don't think Alex Rodriguez doesn't give a fuck about having a pro sports team in Minnesota. There's no way he does. There's no connection whatsoever to this town. Like, if it was Kevin Garnett, if that whole thing had gone through with Garnett buying the team, obviously that would be different. Or like Glenn Taylor was a Minnesota businessman, and when he bought it, it's like okay, that's the connection there. But and obviously it wouldn't be even a thing where, like, you can just they can just up and move a team just at a whim. Like, it would have to be approved. But If that happens, all the other owners make money, and that's all they care about. So, but I don't think it's cynical. I don't think it's reactionary at all to say that the Timberwolves are gone. And again, it's not going to happen the day that the reins are handed over. But 5 years from now, in 2026, the Minnesota Timberwolves will not be a franchise anymore. And I don't know if that means they'll go to Seattle or Vegas or wherever else, but you know, you know, this is just something people are going to have to accept. They're gone, and maybe we'll get an expansion team back. It's happened. I mean, with the um, Charlotte lost their team to New Orleans, and it was like, okay, well, we'll give you another team. Simple as that. Like, you know, I mean, like I said, it's like, you know, Minnesota and Minneapolis. It's like something like a top 15 market, I think. So, sure, they want some of that money from the market. It's kind of a separate thing from like, can Minnesota ever win a title in the NBA? Which that's, I think, absolutely no. But there's a lot of franchises that can't, and they still have teams. So, I could see that happening. I could see them, after the Wolves move, then they give us an expansion team, and we start this whole thing over again with another franchise that won't have any fucking chance to win. And maybe Garnett can buy that franchise. Um, but obviously another concern is the links. The links are, I guess, are included in the deal. Um, the one interesting factor there is the two markets, Seattle and Vegas. They already have WNBA teams, so even if they then move the Wolves to one of those markets, well, the Lakes aren't going to move there too. So you know, I'm not sure how that would work. I don't know. I mean, I know this if we, I honestly don't give a fuck if the Wolves lose, but we do not want to lose the Lynx. The Lynx have actually been a good franchise, and have actually given us something to be happy about. Um, so I wouldn't worry too much about them, because that could be just a separate thing. Like, you could own an NBA team in one market and a WNBA team in another market. It's not even a thing. Um, but yeah, I think people just gotta accept it. Timberwolves are gone. This news means that the Timberwolves will instantly become a lame duck franchise. And all the talk about, well, can they build something with Towns? Can they build something with Anthony Edwards? Can they build something with Russell? It won't matter, because that's going to be for another city to think about and worry about. And I've said for years we'd all be better off in this town if the Timberwolves just left. Well, I think we're going to find that out very soon. Um, and I feel bad for the diehards. I mean, I used to be like a big Timberwolves fan, like back in the KG era, but like, they just beat me into submission over the last 15 years of just being it's absolutely pathetic. I mean, you know they are one of the worst, if not the worst, franchise in any of the major sports. Historically. And yet there are people who have stuck through them through these all these years and still hold out hope. And they're going to lose their team, and I feel bad for them, but you know, and it sucks for them, but this is just how it is. Because it doesn't matter what they say, it doesn't matter what A-Rod and this other guy say, it doesn't matter what is put in any sort of contract, because you can break contracts. Certainly Alex Rodriguez ain't a guy to be trusted. He's a fucking snake. He would stab his own mother in the back. Like, he doesn't give a shit about the fans of Minnesota. I think it's just woefully naive to think that, oh, he's just gonna, he's gonna show up in Minnesota and he's just gonna love being here, and he's gonna find that he just loves it here and he wants to stay here and he wants to keep the team here. Like, and this doesn't mean you gotta live here. You don't have to live in the, you don't have to live in the market where you own a pro sports team, but you know, Alex Rodriguez is a guy who only cares about money, and he only cares about fame and status. And you can't get, I mean, obviously you can get money, but no one's gonna care about that he owns the freaking Minnesota Timberwolves. They might care if he owns the Vegas Timberwolves, or if he's the guy who brings the Seattle Sonics back. But you know, I just think this is, this we'll look back on this years from now, and this will be the day that the Minnesota Timberwolves franchise ended, because there will be no Minnesota Timberwolves within 5 years. You know, check back in 2026 if there's still a Minnesota Timberwolves. I will, I, I will eat my words, but I think that's foolish to think that that's going to be a thing. I think they're gone. It's just a question of which city they're gone to and what specific year. And maybe we'll get a team back. I mean, I would think we'd get a team back. Like, we're a bigger market than Charlotte, and Charlotte got a team back. But yeah, I think it's just a question of when, not if, that the Minnesota Timberwolves are no more.